Hi everybody, Pastor Dan here. This video is a virtual version of the information session we had at church a couple weeks ago about the Thriving Congregations Initiative. If you're part of our church and you've been around much in the last couple months, you've heard that we are getting a grant. We're getting a chunk of money from the denomination to help us try some new things here at Brockport First Baptist. And we had a little information session at the church. It was a great time. We had a wonderful turnout, very productive. A lot of you have some great ideas of things we could do, ways we could use these funds to bless our congregation and to empower us to do the work God is calling us to do. But I know that a number of folks weren't able to make it to that in-person information session. So I wanted to make a virtual version of you. We're going to be covering a lot of the same information, obviously in a more compressed format, so that you'll kind of be up to speed and understand what's going on with this grant. This is going to be a longer video compared to what we usually put out on YouTube, but to help with that, I am going to split this video into chapters. So if you look at the little progress bar at the bottom of your screen, you should see that there are different sections of this video so that as you're going through, or especially if you come back to it, you can skip to the part that you want to see that is most relevant to what you need to know. With that out of the way, let's get into this virtual presentation. This initiative we're part of is called Thriving Congregations in a 21st Century Post-Pandemic World. And it was put together by our region of the denomination, the American Baptist Churches of the Rochester, Genesee region. And it's inspired in part by this verse from Jeremiah 29. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. Just to give a little context to this verse, this is something that the prophet Jeremiah said, a message he conveyed from God at a time when the people of Jerusalem were being driven into exile. They were forced to leave their homes, they lost everything that they had, and they were forced to go to Babylon, a nation and a place that was hostile to them. So understandably, a lot of the people had lost hope. They thought God had abandoned them. They thought this was the end of their community, of their worship. Their temple was gone. They didn't know what to make of the world. And in so many ways, that describes the reality a lot of our churches are dealing with now. In the 21st century, of course, we've got the decline of organized religion, all the challenges that churches and church members are facing. And of course, coming off the pandemic, a lot of those challenges were accelerated. It was tough worshiping from home and not being able to meet together for so long. Our church is blessed that we actually grew through the pandemic. We came out of the pandemic larger than we were going into it. That was not the norm. Most churches that were our size, around 50, 60 people pre-pandemic, came out of the pandemic with only 20 or 30 people showing up on a Sunday. So the idea of this initiative is to take a handful of churches in our denomination, a handful of churches from our region that are doing exciting work, and help those churches thrive. Give them some funds to help accelerate that work and to help them work toward this future and this hope. In terms of the basics, there are 30 congregations participating in this project, and there are 13 churches in our cohort. And you can see here the picture of all the leaders from these various churches who got together down in Pennsylvania about a month or so ago for the launch retreat to really start this cohort off. I think you can see me. I'm kind of right here in the center of the picture. Oops, didn't mean to skip forward. There we go. You can see Beth Dickinson right here, right in the center, and you can just catch Dick Carter's shoulder over here in red. As part of this, each congregation is receiving a congregational assessment tool. That's the survey you all took over the summer. 1 year of free coaching from a group called Ministry Architects, basically a group of folks who coach churches, and $28,000 to develop projects to help our congregations thrive. Every church that's part of this has to put together a steering committee. Our committee consists of myself, Dick Carter, Beth Dickinson, Jess Cook, and Ginny Spielman. And the folks on this committee are going to be meeting monthly with the coach that's been assigned to our church. We're going to meet every other month with our cohort of fellow congregations, and we're going to be meeting consistently with each other and with church leadership just as we go through this initiative over the next year or two to help guide the process and make sure that we are using these funds we're going to receive in the way that we're hoping to. Why our church? Why did we apply to be part of this program? I want to point out that our congregation is in a very exciting season. As I already said, we came out of the pandemic larger and stronger than we went into it. But this season has presented us with, in addition to a number of blessings, a number of challenges that I just want to talk to you all about. As I already said, we're a growing congregation. We have experienced growth over the past 7 years. Our average attendance has increased from about 50 people a week to about 100 people a week. So we are incredibly blessed, especially when compared to a number of other churches out there. As we've grown, our congregation has also become more diverse, and it's become more diverse in a number of ways. We have age diversity. All generations are now represented at our church. That was not always the case. 7 years ago, we were an aging church. We didn't have many families, we didn't have many young people, and we didn't have many people in between. For the longest time, even as we started to grow, there was this huge gap where we had a number of congregants, a number of church members over the age of 65. We had a number of folks, in their 30s and younger with young kids. But for the longest time, we didn't even have anyone hardly between the ages of 45 and 60. That has started to change as well. We now have all generations represented in our church, which is a huge blessing. We've also become more racially diverse. We are still a predominantly white church, but we have more non-white members now than we had a few years ago. We have grown in our LGBTQ plus population. We also have diverse levels of church experience and traditions. We've got folks who've been part of this congregation their entire lives, for decades in some cases. We've also got people who are brand new to church. This church is the first one they've ever been part of, the first one they ever stepped foot in. We have deconstructing evangelicals, lifelong American Baptists. We've got folks from the charismatic tradition. We have lapsed Catholics, Messianic Jews. We have people dealing with church hurt. Huge diversity in terms of level of church experience and traditions. We're also increasingly engaging the community in new ways, while at the same time maintaining long-time outreach ministries. We're still doing stuff like the gathering table, showing up to the Arts Fest, our special offerings, all the things that our church has done for years to try to impact our community and share the love of Jesus with our neighbors. But we're also doing a number of new exciting things. We've got the warming center, which was a huge hit last year, and we're doing again this year. We've got the food pantry. We've got the backpack drive, trunk or treat, all sorts of new ways that we are looking to engage our community for the gospel. All of this growth, increased diversity, new people, community engagement has brought a rush of new energy into our church, which is amazing, but it's also presented some new challenges. We have a lot of burned out volunteers. There is an overworked group of core leaders and volunteers in our church who kind of do all the things and who are beginning to burn out and age out. We are also beginning to lose a generation of longtime financial supporters of our church. Folks who are simply aging out, moving away, not able to support our church in the same way they used to be able to, and many still want to. There's the struggle, the challenge of getting folks to connect post-pandemic, getting people to come out for things, be part of things. We isolated for so long, and I think a number of us found that we kind of liked not having so much going on. This is not just a problem for us, by the way. This is a problem for other churches, other community groups. I know Lions Club has seen issues. There are exempts clubs that have closed down. It is hard to get people to come out and be part of community, be part of institutions post-pandemic. So that's another challenge. We have a number of divides within our congregation, many of which are new. There's the whole divide between foundational members, longtime church members, and new members. There are generational divides. It's a huge blessing to have all generations represented, but different generations come in with different expectations, different needs, and those needs sometimes clash. We have political divides in our church. And then just all the competing stuff we bring in with us, the stuff we want from church, which looks very different person to person. Some of these divides have led to interpersonal conflict. There have been a number of clashes, people who've had their feelings hurt, people who, it breaks my heart, now have church hurt from our church. Again, a lot of that is normal. A lot of that is a natural part of growth. These are growing pains, but it's an additional challenge that is somewhat new to us. And then you just got all the challenges that come with change. And this is where I really want to give a shout out to our longtime church members, people who have been here, our foundational members who've been a part of this community for decades. Dealing with change is hard. And this is a very different church than it was even 5 years ago. It's a different group of people with different interests, different needs. It is hard to weather all that change. So if you're someone who has been here 10, 20, 30, 50 or more years, and you've stuck with our church through the ups and downs, the highs and lows, I just want to express my gratitude and say thank you for being part of this, for going along with all this change, and for continuing to be here and be part of this growing, evolving, changing community. Change is hard, and it brings a lot of challenges. Now, one of the things we did a couple weeks ago at this information session is we went over the results from this survey. And I do want to say the full results, the PDF that kind of outlines how you all responded to the survey, is linked in the description of this video. So we're not going to go through all of it. It would take way too long. But please take a look at that if you haven't already. See how your fellow church members filled that out, what they had to say. This congregational assessment, though, was created by Ministry Architects, the group of coaches who are working with our church through this project. We promoted it back in July, and we had 39 people complete the survey, which is really an excellent cross-section of our church. We're averaging about 100 people a week in attendance. Usually about 80 of that is adults. So about half the adults who are in our church on a given Sunday completed that. And I got to see the names of who filled it out. It was a wonderful cross-section. New people, longtime people, young people, old people, middle-aged people. There was a youth group member who completed it. It really does do a pretty good job capturing a wide section of our church. Just looking at the answers to a few of the questions, and these responses are ranked by how you all rank them, so the highest ranked things are first. But what drew you to our church? Inclusivity, number one. And I'm not going to read all of this, but basically the fact that we welcome everybody and our dedication to social justice, that's a huge number one thing that draws people to our church now. Number two, family and personal connections. I think this resonates especially with longtime church members, a number of folks who have deep family ties here and deep personal connections that keep them here. Our pastor, yours truly, number three, especially the sermons. Denominational, traditional preferences, and then personal feeling, God's leading. Kind of the top 5 things that draw people to our congregation. When you think of the overall ministry of our church, what's working well now? What are our assets? Again, number one is our inclusivity and our welcoming. The fact that we create a safe space to explore and especially reconstruct faith. So many of the new folks who have come to call this church home over the last 2 to 5 years are people who come in with significant church hurt, spiritual trauma, folks who are trying to stitch their faith back together and figure out what it looks like to follow Jesus in the 21st century. And they're finding a safe space to do that and to put their faith back together here at our church. What a blessing. Number 2, our community outreach and service. All the stuff we do for the community, food pantry, warming center, our meals, the fact that this church is a pillar in Brockport. Again, number 3, lucky number 3, pastor's leadership. Our fellowship, the sense of community in the congregation, number 4. And then the fact that we are growing, becoming intergenerational, bringing in people who were done with church, all of this seen as things that are working well. Next question is, what is not working well? What are the challenges we're facing? Not surprisingly, number 1, volunteer burnout, and really just the struggle to get folks engaged in things our church is doing. Number 2, interpersonal dynamics and conflict. Again, not a surprise at all. This was part of the reason. These reasons were part of the cause to apply for this program. Number 3, ministry growth and outreach. Then program and policy updates, the need to build better systems. And then financial and building challenges. We have a big, expensive building. What's your favorite thing about the ministries of this church? Pastor's sermon and teachings are number 1. Thank you, guys. I'll give myself a little pat on the back for that. Again, our sense of inclusivity. Number 2, our fellowship, eating together. Then our worship and our commitment to serving the community and social justice. If you could dream one big dream for the church, what would it be? Growth, facility improvements, more outreach, continuing to become more inclusive, and financial stability. I will say amen to all 5 of those. What do you feel are the most pressing needs in your community? This one was interesting. Food insecurity, number 1, by a lot. Of 39 people who took this survey, 35 highlighted that. Kind of going in order of largest to smallest, mental health support and homelessness kind of rank right under that. Youth programs, racial justice, senior care, neurodivergent people. Those are kind of the big double-digit ones, and then other things obviously rank under that. You can see, and obviously feel free to pause this and take a closer look as we move through. What barriers exist for your church in connecting with the outside community? Lack of volunteers, number 1, that resonates. Lack of resources, number 2, that also resonates. Unsure of how to address the community's needs, and lack of awareness of those needs. All makes a lot of sense, those top 4. What types of outreach projects has your congregation done in the past? Check all that apply. Number 1, food pantry. I was actually delighted to see so many people highlighted this. All but 1, 38 of you highlighted this. Community events under that. And then tied for 3rd, our advocacy and social justice and clothing drive thrift store. I think that would harken back to the teen closet. Health and wellness workshops, and then everything else relatively small. But those are the big ones. What types of outreach projects interest your congregation? Check all that apply. Again, food pantry, big, community events, social justice, health and wellness workshops, clothing drives, after-school tutoring, and then other things rank under there. Do you have regular attenders / members willing to lead a new project, ministry, or program? 87% of you said yes, which tells me that 87% of our church members are ready to dive in and do some things. Maybe I won't hold all of you to that, but it's exciting to see this many people and this much energy around leading new projects. That's great. Now, before I talk about kind of the ins and outs of our project, I do just really want to clarify, and I said this both at the information session and the congregational business meeting, realize kind of what we're being equipped to do here. This initiative is not a quick fix cure-all that's going to solve every problem our church faces. That's not possible, that's not realistic, and that's not what we're looking to do. We are getting a chunk of money and some free coaching paid for by the denomination to help us try some things, to do some experiments, to maybe try a couple new programs to try to help our church continue to thrive. Some of the stuff we're going to try is not going to work. Some of it will crash and burn. And you know what? When that happens, we're going to learn from it. And a lot of the challenges we're facing now are still going to be challenges 2-3 years from now and beyond. But my hope is that we can use some of these funds and some of our own creativity and willingness to try some new things to see what sticks, see what works, and hopefully come out of this project a stronger, healthier church that is continuing to grow and thrive. On that front, the name that we've given our project that our steering committee has come up with is building a thriving intergenerational church community. What we basically want to do is try some experiments and try to develop some new things in basically three areas, or the language I used here is three prongs that we want to focus some of these resources. The first prong, and these are in no particular order, is investing in children, youth, and family ministries. We're going to be getting $28,000. One of the things we seriously want to think about as we're looking at those funds and how to use them is how can we invest this in our growing family ministry. You know, we just created a new position. Family Life Director Jordan Blocker is serving at that, doing a phenomenal job leading our Sunday morning children's church and youth programs. How can we equip him? How can we support our families? How can we get our families more connected to each other? And how can we do things to bring in other families from the community? That's kind of pillar number one. As I go through these, by the way, I'm hoping that this stirs some ideas from you. Biggest part of our information night was just stopping on each one of these and talking about them, brainstorming, seeing what people could come up with. So, you know, as you're thinking about this, if you had some money to play with, what would you do to invest in the families of our church? That's prong number one. Number two is creating better systems to integrate people into the life of our church. One of the things we consistently hear, that I have consistently heard from new people over the years, is that it's hard to get connected at our church. We are the Friendly First. We are known for being a very friendly, welcoming, and inclusive place. But when it comes time to actually get connected, to get plugged in, serve, build relationships, a lot of new people find it difficult. So some of the things we're thinking about on this front is like, one, what on-ramps do we have for people to get involved in ministry here at our church? And this isn't just for new people. This is for anybody. You know, if someone's looking to serve, you know, what can they do? Trying to create more opportunities, build teams that people can be part of, find easy ways that people can plug in and serve and be part of community, whether on Sunday morning or throughout the week. I'm hoping this stirs some ideas for y'all. I've got a ton. Another thought we have, though, when it comes to new people is thinking more and being more intentional about how we want to welcome new people. What do we want the journey to look like from a person's first visit to our church all the way through to becoming members and even their first year of membership here at our church? What do we want to happen? You know, we recently relaunched the greeter team. That's a step on this front. It's both an area where people can serve easily on a Sunday morning, and it's a way to better welcome new people who show up to our church. We have things like the welcome card, but what happens after a person fills out a welcome card? What if they come visit our church in September and the next new members class isn't until March? What happens between September and March to get them connected and keep them around? And even once someone joins our church, you know, receives the right hand of fellowship, gets baptized if they've never been before, what does the follow-up look like? What happens? What do we want that first year of membership to look like? We don't have a lot of systems to address that, but we now have some funds and some professional coaching that can help us start to envision what that could be. And again, I'm inviting your ideas. Third prong, and this one I think consistently has brought about the most ideas and the most excitement, but basically doing quarterly events to build community and bridge divides within our congregation. When we think about all those divides, the interpersonal conflicts, the different interest groups and demographics of people who now call our church home, how can we build some community and get people connecting with each other? One thing I'll highlight that's been a huge success over the last few years have been our potlucks. First Sunday of every month, we have potluck after church. And if you were here, if you remember back when that first started, it was a struggle to get people to stay for that. There were some weeks I remember where it was like my family and maybe like 10 or 12 other people who stayed. That has changed radically. I'd say about half the people who are here on a Sunday morning end up staying for potluck. And it includes longtime church members, it includes new people, it includes visitors, and potluck has become a place where people connect. Our hope, though, starting in the new year, is to do at least quarterly events that can help build community and bridge divides, that can bring together people from different parts of our church and get them interacting. Some ideas that have been thrown out, and this is where I'll invite your ideas as well. Things like workshops. Are there topics that people want to learn about, hear about, discuss that could bring together people from different demographics within our church? Are there fun events? Things like going to a hockey game together, movie night, parents' night out, whatever kind of stuff we could put together that would bring together foundational members, new members, young members, older members, people with kids, singles. What kind of stuff could we do regularly to help us bridge some divides and build some community? I'm going to throw out the invitation because, again, this was a main part of our information session. I want to invite you to be praying over this, to be thinking about this, to be sharing ideas, bouncing ideas off of each other. Bounce your ideas off of me, because these are the areas over the next two-ish years that we're going to be looking to invest some of these funds to try to help our church grow and thrive. That is basically what you need to know about this initiative, Thriving Congregations in a 21st Century Post-Pandemic World. Thank you all so much for watching this virtual presentation. I hope it's been informative. I hope you feel like you've been brought up to speed on the Thriving Congregations initiative and why our church is part of it. And more than anything, I hope this video has sparked some ideas and maybe even empowered you to think about how you could be involved with this project. I look forward to seeing what the coming months and next couple years have in store for our church. I'm excited to be part of it. I hope you are too. Grace and peace.